Welcome back to another stream, you all. Today we're going to continue working on the editing, continuing to improve, continuing to complete the course. Uh, Wanted to start here real quick. I thank you all for being here, and we're going to do some more typing practice just to warm up the fingers and, I don't know, practice typing. I don't know. I got you. Little groggy, just woke up. I'm sleeping. Literally slept for like 2 hours after I left you all before in the previous stream. I had some lunch, went to exercise. I'm still sore from other days that I've been exercising, but just got it done. Did my cardio, had some food afterwards, showered. My eyes just hurt, so I decided to sleep. I was gonna try to sleep to tomorrow, but after 2 hours, I couldn't sleep no more. So woke up super groggy. It's been like an hour, and just decided to continue streaming. Be doing this till I get tired. Probably will be like 12, and then I'll try to go back to sleep and wake up tomorrow, another day. So about that, enough of that. Let's do some typing. So pause the ending considerable by the problem. Let me put a timer. Let me finish this one and put a timer. How long are we gonna be here? So another 10 minutes sounds good to me. Another 10 minutes seems to me. It seems I'm having trouble with what seems to be like the B. Uh, yeah, I don't know what all this stuff means. For U, Y, I, O, E, and N. And we still have W, F, Z, Y, V, X, Q, and J to unlock. The B is, we're getting up there. I have it to give me another letter after like we reach 26 speed. But my Y and my C, yeah, they're a little down. I got that wrong and right at the same time. How is that correct? Rudy, fat, and wow. I'm gonna focus on trying to be as accurate as possible instead of speed. And then I feel like the speed will come about when accuracy. It's like the letters that I still need to use conscious like memory to like realize where they are, which finger I have to use, and some of them, like my muscle memory already knows exactly where they are. Abilities, screws, it, uh, uh, football. And it's also like just trusting that your fingers got you, when you type. At the same time, they mess up. Brain, ah, you can get the double S there. Okay. I got both U and P. Um, Billion neighbor, unmistakable, and yo, these 10 minutes last forever, bro. Ah, like my attention like was like what? How long is 10 minutes? Oh, look, and we unlocked a new letter right at the end there. Nice. W. Ah, his finger now. That's crazy. So let's continue with the editing. So we got the NOOB to Pro project. Yeah, last time we were working on the moving text, the keyframes. Here, uh, wow, There's a lot of things going on here. Oh, this chart, the keyframe curves. You can see the keyframes up and back. So what I'm gonna do to make it simple, I'm gonna follow the exact tutorial that he's doing. So Tuesday on Earth starts at the top. I forgot what the keyframes are. We have the keyframes right here. Tracking, color, the color. Oh, and then the second one, we're gonna have it at the end, right? So if it goes like this, why is this one at the top? So basically, I want to move from the top to the bottom, right? No, somehow that works. What? What is going on, man? Can I just delete these keyframes? Okay. I think it's because I already edited somehow this. No, I don't know. So it starts at the top and at the bottom. At the end, I want it to be. I'm gonna add some keyframes, diamonds, and I want it to be at the bottom at the end. Right? Okay. How about we delete both of them and start over? Because somehow that didn't work. Okay, we got the video. Keyframes on the top. We add those there. At the end, we're gonna add another pair. All right. At the end, I want it to be at the bottom. Is this gonna do what I wanted to do? Right, it is. Make it shorter so we. Right. So we got it starts at the top. I don't even move. How do we even move the speed? How are we? Whatever. In here, can we control R? Was it Control Shift R? Control R. No, I don't think I can Control R to just speed it up or whatever. And what I want to do is find the keyframes and maybe I can. Now I don't see them here. Like what? So the text is moving really slow. just go back and yeah.
Or if you want to do kind of a picture-in-picture thing, you could do some cropping.
And the video went back.
Give us the same transform controls that we have with any of these clips. Pretty much the same transform controls. And so what we can do is change the position of this text just by taking the video that the text generator generates and moving that video around. There are these little diamonds right here. These diamonds are what we call keyframe diamonds. I don't actually know the real name for it, but I call it keyframe diamonds. Because what you do is you click on this diamond and that will set a keyframe. Now, if you don't know what a keyframe is basically a way to tell your software that you want a property to be a certain value at a certain time. So when we click this keyframe diamond, we're telling Resolve that at 49 seconds and 11 frames, so right here on this clip, that we want the position to be at 0, 0. If we move to a different time, so let's move to kind of the start of the clip, we can adjust this position again, and you'll see there's this little tiny greater than indicator, this little arrow. That means that there is a keyframe on this track, and it's that way. And what that also means is that if I change this position right now, that's going to add a new keyframe. You can see that it turned this keyframe red. And what it's going to do is animate in between those two keyframes over time. And so we've just made an animated title. Isn't that cool? Now, is this really the only indicator that something is animated? No. If we go up here to these buttons right here, and we click on this one that looks like some diamonds, we click on that, that's going to open up our keyframes panel for our timeline. And here we have these familiar little diamonds. And we can see the properties that these are animating. So we have a diamond on this track for position X and a diamond on this track for position Y. And then we also have diamonds here for transform, which is kind of like the group of those properties. So I can take this diamond for the transform and I can move this back and forth, and that's going to change where that keyframe is on my track. And so I can take this first keyframe and move this up at the start, and the last keyframe and move this at the end, and throughout the entire length of the clip, it's going to move from down here to up here. If I want this to go faster, I can push these keyframes together because it'll take less time to go from one keyframe to the other, which means whoosh, this goes faster. And so that's generally how you'll animate stuff in Resolve. And really that same kind of way of animating things by setting a keyframe and adjusting the distance between the two keyframes, that's pretty much how you animate anything in most software. In fact, as you use Fusion, keyframes are all over the place. But just know for now that you can animate stuff by using those keyframes and adjusting the distance between them. Now, when something moves and comes to a stop on a video, it actually looks a lot nicer if it kind of slows down before it stops. That is called...
So what he did is, maybe that's why it's so slow for me. Let's just make that bigger or longer. My keyframe is just like super slow or something. Okay, so now we got the abrupt stop, like Casey does, Mr. Ferris. Yeah, Mr. Ferris does. Oh, we're also in this page, right? At the parameter. Is it this line? This line?
easing a keyframe. Like you easily just stop, right? You ease into it. And so what we really want to do would be to ease this keyframe, this last keyframe, so that it slows down before it stops. So it doesn't just kind of jerk to a stop like this. It doesn't look good. And so here's how you ease those keyframes. Right now, in this version of Resolve, there is another keyframe panel, which I can click, and that will open up here kind of where the media pool and the effects go. And it will give you another graph, just like is down here. But you can click on this little button right here, and that will switch to your curves view. And this will give you a graph of the values over time. And you can select this last key.
Why does the Minecraft not have that? Like, I can see it right here. Right, maybe I just had to open that. Or like trying to move to. I'm so lost right now. What is going on? Maybe we could do it from this graph then. No, we cannot. It's an option only here, and I can't click it because I cannot see those keyframes. Now that it's at the bottom, maybe we could try. Maybe we can see those two. We can add a new one. So I want to add another keyframe like here. Right. And this time I want it to be, let's say, more in the center or a little on the top. Whatever. Obviously, let's move it closer because it's not going to take forever to do that. But like, it's not showing up on the graph. What happened to my graph?
Keyframe and click on this button right here, which will let you flatten the handles on this keyframe. So you can grab this little handle. Let's just zoom this in a little bit. You can grab this handle and kind of adjust the graph.
Hi guys, I don't know what's going on. I don't have it. I think I have to let it go. But I've seen those handles before. Like, did it before. Just I failed miserably at it. But now they don't even show up. I don't know if there was any of you in the chat. I could. This is the stuff like I could use help with. Like, what is going on? The ferret sadly does not answer questions through YouTube. So we're gonna have to let it go. I'm gonna put a note here. Do research on DaVinci keyframe, slow stop, and stop. If we keep watching, we'll see.
And so if you grab this handle and kind of push it out like this so it's flat, you have this nice easy curve as we go into the keyframe. And so as this comes in, it kind of slows down before it stops. Isn't that nice? Comes in fast, slows down before it stops. And so this is the interface that you can use to get really detailed with your keyframes. Now, it's possible that this panel is going to change in the future. I've recommended that they actually put all of this down here because it makes a lot more sense to be able to move this based on our timeline rather than moving things back and forth on this grid where you don't really have any idea of the actual timing of things. And so if you're watching this video in the future and you're like, there is no keyframes panel here, or it looks different or something, just look around. Some of these buttons up here might be down here. We'll see. You should be able to click on this expand button, and that will give you a undocked keyframe editor here. That gives you a really nice interface for working with your.
Let's see if that works. I still cannot see my keyframe. I mean, it's just two flat lines, dude. I still only get two flat lines. Hey, at least now we did expand, but we get both the where the keyframe is and the graph. This is nice, but I don't have any movement. Two flat lines. Zoom in. Nope. Still don't see anything. Like we're at least for the keyframe editor, like this is it seems better to work on it than before. So I could just move it like right here where this is, and as it moves, we could also see it on the screen, the top bottom view. That's nice. Oh, you take it off there and it goes back up here, and you close it from here. All right. Maybe that'll be something I can
Keyframes.
figure out in the future.
Again, that button might be down here in the future. Who knows? The keyframes panels, this one and this one, are brand new to Resolve when I'm recording this. So if it's slightly different on your version, that might be a thing. But either way, it should pretty much work the same. You move your keyframes back and forth to change the timing, and you adjust the curve to ease the keyframes. There are similar tools to this in the Fusion page, which we'll go over in a little while, but that's how you animate things here on the edit page. There are so many more things that I want to tell you about the edit page, but we have to move on. This should be plenty to get you started grabbing the footage and putting it into a timeline and creating a story. This is the magic of video editing, is that you're in control of that story. So good. Next, let's jump into the cut page, which is just a little bit of a different angle on the same kind of idea of creating a story in a timeline. So, the cut page.
The cut page. So that was all for the zip page. I mean, that was a lot. Technically, that's all of the edit. Like I created a whole movie thing with the clips he gave us, and I even was thinking like, what else could he teach us? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just review notes and use it to edit. I mean, it seems pretty simple. I don't know what might be overthinking things, but I'm definitely overthinking things in my head. But it really is that simple. In an hour, in an hour and 30 minutes, we've basically done basic edits because we've learned how to edit in an hour and 30 minutes because other things don't have all of this stuff, or maybe they do. Maybe CapCut has all this stuff. Fusion, color, light. There's so much more. But the basics are the basics. Uh, and I went 30 minutes. They got it covered, so I'm proud that I got that done. The cut page. Moving on to the cut page. See what Mr. Ferris here has.
The cut page is kind of like the edit page, but it's built for a slightly different application. You can think of the cut page as
You get the same views here. What are they happening? I want the same view as I had on the edit page. Okay. Okay. So basically do can make it smaller like that. I guess the cut page just has more space down here. No, does it have a preview? No, I don't know. Does that mean we can get more space here? Would more space here be nice or less? Nice. You still search like this. So that's nice. Oh, import media. Nice. What is this? Refresh. Relink media. Review the different view. Source clip. Source tape. Timeline. Timeline. And here we got the whole thing. All right. So I'm guessing we're going to work with this footage now on the cut page.
Sort of like a version of the edit page, but designed with one value in mind: speed. Speed of editing. Everything in this page is designed to help you edit faster. Now, it has some pretty familiar elements. We have our media pool up here, which works pretty much exactly like the media pool does in the other pages. The only difference is that instead of a bin list, you have a little drop down here, but pretty much the same idea. We have a viewer. You can double click on a clip and you can hover scrub. You can scrub through it here in the source viewer. You can switch to source tape and bring up all of the different clips one after another. You can also switch to the timeline viewer. So there aren't two viewers in the edit page. There's only one that kind of switches out like this. But other than that, it pretty much works the same. We do have an inspector, same idea, but we also have kind of this slightly different style of inspector, which if you click on this button right here, will bring up a bunch of controls.
Slightly different time. Slightly different kind of inspector. Cover. So what we're doing with the clips is cover scrubbing. We do got this here. And we can move to the timeline. Okay. Then we got this. So I obviously want to zoom in and out. So zoom in and out for this. Where's the zoom in and out? There has to be zoom in and out. Maybe not. we get. What is this button? So let's work on this clip, which is, oh, you can crop. That's definitely the crop button. Dynamic zoom. All right.
That are the same as the inspector controls, but they're kind of just on a different interface. The idea being that this would be a little bit faster. We also have effects and titles and even a keyframes editor like we do on the edit page. There's transitions, that kind of thing. But really the big difference here in the cut page versus the edit page is that we have two timelines. We have this upper timeline here, and we have the lower timeline down here. Now, this can be a little bit confusing, but these are the same timeline at different zoom levels. So this upper timeline is your entire movie from beginning to end. So it's zoomed all the way out. The lower timeline is the zoomed in version of that same sequence. And so if I want to adjust this part where we have a transition, I can quickly move to that part using this top timeline. And then I can adjust the details of the clips here in the lower timeline. And so the idea here is that you can quickly move from one side of the world to the other without having to zoom in and out a whole bunch, because that does take some time to zoom in and out and kind of get the right view for what you're working on. The other thing you might notice is these little indicators here, where if we have a clip, let's just open a clip like this, we have this little...
Wait, I'm taking notes, guys. Quickly move to a specific part of the time of a of the timeline. Top view, top line. And then the bottom one is to make the adjustments. Make the adjustments to the timeline.
animation here that's kind of shooting little arrows down here. And we also have this green highlight. This is our edit indicator. And what that means is that if we use some of these edit buttons, which are very similar to the edit buttons you get over here in the edit page, but if we use one of these edit buttons, some of these have to do with a specific edit point. So for instance, this insert button, this smart insert, what it's going to do is look for the nearest edit point, which is going to be highlighted in green, and that's where it's going to insert the clip. Normally, on the edit page, if I were to be right over this title and I were to insert this like this, that's going to throw that right in the middle of that clip, exactly where my playhead is, just like that. In the cut page, because it takes time to completely line this up exactly where you want it to be, it's just going to put this on the nearest edit point. So if I grab this right here and I say smart insert, that's going to put that right there in between those two clips. It's not going to put it exactly.
Okay, so it's teaching us smart insert, which looks similar to insert here. Smart insert will insert at it. Will insert at an edit point. So let's try it real quick. You want to be here. You can't really move, can you? Oh man, yeah, you can move the clips there too. Like if you know what you're moving, yeah. So and then you got this footage. I want a smart insert. Yeah, it just placed it there. So now I have like a whole. Can I just cut here? Yes. Delete. Yeah, I can. So like if you know what you're doing, you could just, you know. I made more space for myself, but this doesn't get bigger. Like, I can't make this bigger. The buttons, there's no zoom in and out. Like I don't see it. Am I missing something? I don't know. But yeah, you can just move this here, and it clips on. Yeah, face doesn't play. All right.
Exactly where the playhead is. If I have that playhead less than 50% through this clip, we're going to highlight this edit point, and that's where whatever clip I have selected is going to be inserted. So this is the kind of thing that can get you in trouble, but if you're aware of it and kind of the thinking behind why this is built this way, then it can actually be really helpful and speed you up. Sort of a similar thing with this edit point is with our transitions. There's these three buttons right here, and this will allow you to quickly select the type of transition that you want for this edit point. And so by default, it's a cut, but with one click, I can add a crossfade here. And so I could just go to the nearest edit point and go, okay, I want a crossfade here, I want one here, I want one here. And you can really easily just add these kind of things, and you can see how quickly you can go through and do stuff. And so there are a lot of cool things about just editing a normal project in the cut page. It's a little bit of a different feel. You have to get used to it. But for certain applications, it can really speed you up. Something like putting together a narrative film is maybe not something that I would do in the cut page. The cut page would be really great for a vlog or a news story where you're trying to, one, move really fast and probably get it out as quickly as you can. And two, you generally just have a bunch of clips one after another, and you don't have complicated sound design and, all kinds of different layers and stuff like that. It's just one clip after another. And so because that's kind of such a specific application, we're not going to spend lots and lots of time on the cut page. It's sort of a divisive page, honestly. Some people really like it, and some people don't see a point in having the cut page at all. Me, I use this for some things. It's nice for quickly putting a whole bunch of clips down into the timeline and creating kind of a rough edit, but I'll generally move over to the edit page to kind of refine my edits and make sure that my audio tracks are good and everything like that. Because the cut page, while there are audio tracks, I'll kind of get rid of our extra tracks here, move my camera here, I can click on this button right here and expand those tracks a little bit, and I can see the audio a little bit better. And I can hold Alt and adjust just the audio like this. And so it's certainly doable, but because of the way the cut page is made, where you don't really have a normal selection tool, you only have the trim tools, it can sort of feel awkward, and you can kind of trim your audio when you don't really mean to sometimes, and it's a little bit awkward sometimes. And so generally, if you're going to do something quick where you have your audio and your video in the same clips, and you're just going to put one right after another, that's what I would use the cut page for. And like I said, it kind of comes down to personal preference. You might find that you really like the way the cut page does things and not having to zoom in or out. And you might find that cutting your videos together in the cut page is really enjoyable. However, especially if you're coming from a different editor like Premiere or something like that, the edit page is going to feel a lot more familiar. Now, the one thing that's really, really great about the cut page is, surprisingly, it's multicam editing. The way it handles multicam is actually really interesting. If you want to follow along, you can go to the master bin right here and open cut. And we have some footage that we're going to cut together on the cut page. Let's make a new timeline. I'll just right click and say create new timeline like this. And we'll say cut page multicam.
Okay, cut page. So the cut page has uses. He says rough edit, so you can make a rough edit, right? Uses for the cut page. right? Rough edits. Then I see like definitely after you have like the rough edit, maybe you got the clips in and out. But I mean, we were doing that with the multi viewers, right? We got the two views and then the in and outs, especially like setting the ins and out with the other one on the preview view and then dragging it down to the edit page was really how I envision doing it. So I don't know how what he means by rough edits with the cut page. So maybe he'll explain it a little. I mean, we are gonna work on an edit. So we're definitely doing the exercises because that's how we learn, right? Through experience. But I see it also as very useful to add those transitions. You don't gotta worry about the adding those transitions in the edit page. And I mean, you could use the edit page and the cut page simultaneously. It's not like, oh, I have to do everything in the edit page first and then come back to the edit. No, if I'm on the edit page and like I want to add the transitions for these clips I did, it's easier if like, oh, here and then choose from here. So I actually didn't do that one. You just choose and paste here. I don't know why spacebar doesn't work. But it only gives us this basic stuff. Oh, cut. What is it cutting? It only gives us those transitions. I mean, that's a good transition, but what if I want another one? Is this? We're also like, let's say, see, let's go to another cut point over here, right? I did, yeah. No, it doesn't add it. Blur this off. For some reason, it's not adding it. See how it's red and blue green, but I'm clicking. I guess maybe it's just for those two transitions, since they're not video clips. It doesn't do that. So let's cut. Maybe it works like this. Blur this off. Yeah. So I added it there. So yeah. So you moved it here. You open the transitions. I don't know why this is the default here. Dissolve. Okay. Edited dissolve. Cross dissolve. And then you can move through here. Scrub your timeline. Oh, I do see that it literally shows me the whole timeline. It's not like a little bit. So we got the first clips here. Wow, and then here it zooms into better. And this is supposed to show me the audio. I don't see it showing me audio. Maybe yeah, it is there. And it was it controlled to just edit the audio? Well, it definitely just picked on my control. But since they're together, it's moving this. I have to figure out how to like not do that. It's dragging the audio from here, right? You see? I don't want it to do that. Oh, and I clicked here and it just moved me here. So that's pretty cool. Like, look, this is what I was talking about. On the second view, like you have your whole clips instead of having to go through the edit page, which oh where is it? Left to right. Maybe no. Switch to the edit page and oh it's here. Uh, 2 minutes and 2 minutes. This is happening. It's like you also see like you can recognize your edits because you see where things are going on. Like I know this is where the lady, as we made it. This is the transition scene where she goes like that, whatever. And but maybe now, maybe can I do that? No, I cannot do that. What about if I want to add a transition to? It did do something. What did it do? Oh, it does. It does. Oh man, that's so nice. In CapCut, it had to be like if I wanted a transition here and then go back to the original anchor clip, I would have to cut, and put it in the middle. But no, here it just added the transition. Nice. Ozzy messing up my clip view, and then we got this timeline. So this is definitely useful. Now that I know what it is, this isn't so daunting. I remember the first time I opened up DaVinci, where I just wanted to make simple cuts to edit a course a video. Like I ended up on the cut page and like, what am I doing? I really just want to cut these clips down to size, and I'm on the cut page. So that was my first tutorial. How do I cut my clips? Should have been on the cut page, That's not what that means. So then I learned about the edit page here. Life. So now we're here, and that's useful. So then, oh, making too many things. So now let's work on the what Mr. Professor Kate Ferris said. Why can I close this? Close. Media pool. It doesn't close, it switches in between titles, effects, keyframes. Alright. So media pool, we're already in cut. Create new timeline. And what we're supposed to name it?
Master bin right here and open cut. And we have some footage that we're going to cut together on the cut page. Let's make a new timeline. I'll just right click and say create new timeline like this. And we'll say cut page multicam like that. And here we have several different shots of the same production meeting. And so we have two kind of medium shot cameras, we have one overhead camera, and we have a wide camera. So this is a 4-camera
Cut page multi. Ah, this is why precision is important when we practice typing. Okay. So I created. So now where's the other timeline? Yeah, everything's gone. But I bet it's not gone. Well, I bet Professor Ferris would teach us that in the future. For now, let's just follow this tutorial.
multicam shoot. We also have our audio. This is just an example with multiple cameras, but if you have a multi-camera shoot for, say, a cooking video or a live event or something, this is all going to work the same way. When we have all of these different cameras that happen at the same time, what we can do is we can sync them up with each other and then cut from one camera to the other.
Okay. So when we have multiple multicams that happen at the same time, we can sync.
Just to get a kind of a different angle. And there are, say, a cooking. This is just an example with multiple cameras, but if you have a multi-camera shoot for, say, a cooking video or a live event or something, this is all going to work the same way. When we have all of these different cameras that happen at the same time, what we can do is we can sync them up with each other and then cut from one camera to the other just to get a kind of a different angle. And there are
We can at the same time. We can sync That's really good. Because let's say you're recording. I don't have those tools right now, but I am planning on maybe in the future, if everything goes well, maybe getting a 360 camera and a tripod, and I mean, and a GoPro, an action camera. So if I'm recording, let's say if I'm in my motorcycle, I'm recording with a 360 camera in the back, and I have a tripod in the front. They're recording at the same time. So if I'm recording one, then I can switch between the two, right? Or even if I ever do get that many cameras, because then I'll have my phone. Because right now all I have is my phone, but and that is enough to create most of the things that I want to create. Right here in the beginning, especially like I just need experience. I gotta just go out there and create something and record and then come back here and sit. Even though every vlog I will make, I will I will try my best just to edit on my laptop. So mainly, I know this is like a lot more useful to have the bigger screen, but like especially for vlogging, like I want to be able to like edit on the go, right? I don't want to have all this footage and then feel overwhelmed that I gotta like record 10 day, like edit 10 days of footage in a couple sittings. Nah, nah, nah. Like if I can do it in the go, then it won't be that big of a hassle. So I'll try to do that on my laptop, which runs DaVinci just the same as this one. Um, Maybe this one runs it better. Obviously, this is more comfortable. Maybe for like if I do edit jobs for people, I'll probably do that here. Or but again, a laptop is allows me movability, while this is I'm stuck here in my room in my office studio thing that I have going on. So that's that. But you can definitely see the use for everything uh, Professor Ferris is teaching us here.
There are
So
ways to do
highly recommend this 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 full course, honestly,
this in the
for free. And that's a lot of this is a lot of value for free.
edit page. For instance, I can open up this cut page multicam and I can start bringing some of these cameras in here, and I can sync these up with each other just by kind of lining up these audio waveforms. And I could cut from one camera to the other. And make my edit that way, just by kind of stacking these cameras and kind of turning one layer off and kind of trimming it and that kind of thing to cut in between the cameras. But in the edit page, I could also select all of these, right click, and say new multicam clip using selected clips. I'll just uncheck move source clips to original clips bin and hit create. And so there are ways to kind of sync these up and then select the different cameras and kind of cut in between them on the edit page. But it is kind of a pain to set that up. It's a little bit tricky. Let me know in the comments if you want a video on setting up multicam in the edit page. But in the cut page, it kind of simplifies this in that we can select all of these clips and we can click this button right here, which is the sync button. I can select those all and I can.
Oh wow. Okay. So uh, he definitely taught us thing on the edit page. I'm gonna put here alternative. I like the idea of just stacking it up on one in each on top of each other. Like you have this, and then you have this, right? You stack it on top of each other. Let's close that. But this is definitely not the same audio. Maybe is this one with the same audio? Okay, that doesn't have the same audio. I'm going crazy. That definitely does not have the same audio. Maybe it does. Like I think that's the biggest issue because they have different starting points for the cameras. Like they didn't click go record on the same time, so they have different starting points. So how do I actually sync up the audio? You know, like this one has a lot of noise here in the beginning. So like, oh, I guess in the future, like I can see that this one has a commonality here, and it isn't very exact either. I'm just going by maybe if I zoom in, I can do better in arranging these. You have same point. So I can see myself using like that, but even then, now it's crowded, right? Oh, I can just move it. Now it's crowded, and then even then, if you're viewing, it's gonna show the top camera only. So how do I know if I want this clip or this clip or this clip? You know? So yeah, this is nice, but I can see why it would be flawed to do it like that. Delete. Okay. Stack. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the edit here. So what we could do is, like he said, select all the clips. So in the cut page, select all, right click, right click, then right click, and then what it was it? Automatically resync, import. I forgot what it was.
Sync these by, kind of simplifies this in that we can select all of these clips and we can click this button right here,
Oh no,
which is the sync button. I can select those all and I can
click the sync button. It looks like the recycling. Sync looks like recycling.
sync these by audio and then hit auto sync.
Okay, so press sync, audio. And then oh, nice. So you see that the problem we were having with the audio, this fixes it. Nice. That's really nice.
And that will sync up all of my clips on this kind of preview timeline. And then we can hit save sync. And what that's going to do is give us a little blue indicator on each of these clips to show that it syncs with some other clip. Once we have that done, we've kind of tagged all of those clips to say, hey, these sync with each other, and here's exactly the time that they should sync with. Once we have that, we can drag any of these clips. Let's just drag this wide clip in. We can drag any of these clips in and just kind of go through it, sort of like the anchor method, like we were talking about. We just have this wide shot and we can look around for something interesting happening. We have Dan reaching for some candy.
save sync, then the wide shot, drag it to the timeline. Oh, nice, nice. You could just drag it there, the top over here. Like this confuses me a little, but not that much because like you have negative space. What's up with that? But okay, okay. Um, so now we, like you said, we scrub up here, something interesting. So we're using the same methods as before. Um, First we use the anchor clip, and then as a base clip, find interesting things, interesting things happening. I don't want to use things as a word, but things happening. Interesting opportunities, maybe. And interesting opportunities that you can insert different views and make the edit more engaging.
That's something interesting right here. And so what we can do is go up to our sync bin, and this is going to show live the clips that sync up with this place in our timeline. So right here, when he starts to reach, we can see all of our different angles for what we want. I can hit 3, and that's going to bring up a clip and set an in and out to start right there. I can just drag this down like this, and then it's going to be a perfect cut from one shot to another. Let's go back to our timeline.
Okay, so once you found something, then you use the sync bin to see the different perspectives. So let's look to the sync bin. Oh, we got the multi-view cameras. I don't think I even found the first view. You can scrub through here, right? This happening. Oh look, right here. Where it goes up. Maybe I want this. And I wanna place it right here. I just place it right here. I can place it both places. See how that looks. And then it goes back to the first page. And then here I want this just not, maybe not this much, just slightly. Oh no, she's laughing. She's laughing here. So is there a camera that zooms into her laughing? Instead of him, we want maybe I want her. I want to capture her laughing. So I definitely want this clip. And then can I do the transform here? Zoom. So here is like, can I go now to the edit page and do this edit here? Right? Because I want to zoom in. Oh, zoom in. Up. Up. And more focused on her than anything. So we want her in the center. Let's see how that looks. There. So this is what I mean. You can go between, you found the clip you wanted, but on the edit page, I just felt more comfortable doing that. For that, especially because here I'm just looking through the clips, and then when you go to the edit page, you don't have to change. Oh, back to media pool to do the thing. You keep it at the sync. Like go to the edit page, do the whatever edit you want to do, and then come back, and then continue. So this is really cool, really cool. So I still haven't found what he was talking about with the. I do not see where he reaches into the bowl. Does not my footage not have him reaching into the bowl? What is going on? Maybe I'm scrubbing too fast. Okay, that's too much for him. Seems like 4. I can't find. Well, I don't have to. Like, I can just see what time. So at the beginning, I guess. At 2 minutes.
Basically, just close-ups of either the ship and Isaac's hand, or Isaac.
2:50.
So, okay. So I might not even need you. Yeah. We'll probably, we'll discuss it, but most likely you're probably free after the touchdowns. Yeah. Pretty cool today. Unless you want to stay and hang out.
Oh, found it. So he's reaching in. So we have multiple angles, right? We can use multiple angles. So I want this one here. Just a small clip. And then I want this one. And here I want it going back. And let's see what that looks like on the edit page. Oh, that was really quick. Oh, I didn't get the. I mean, that is a really fast transition. So maybe I. Just delete that one. Because I wanted like back to this shot. But I mean, there's not enough time to have that many shots. So yeah. Oh, oh my goodness. I'm lost. Back to the cut page. Find where we're at. Edit page. Is there? No, there's no key button. Okay. So many pages.
Viewer here. So here's one shot. There we go. We can cut back, trim this just like that. And so it's sort of like a hybrid of a multicam and kind of the traditional way of stacking a bunch of clips together. And so what's great about something like this is we can just cut to whatever we think is interesting from this wide shot. And so Sam's talking right here. Again, we can just open up the sync bin. Let's use the shot of Sam talking here. Great. And we can either drag it down or we can use our edit buttons like this place on top. And that's going to put that exactly where it's supposed to be. Switch back to our timeline here.
Let's try that. So you can use the edit buttons to place the footage. Pressing space.
Very well. We are way ahead. Hey, we're all good. Good job. Okay.
So place on top. Is this the close up? Triple override, append. Okay, place on top. So it placed it where it's supposed to go. Maybe.
So, hello everybody.
We gotta go back here and watch it in the edit page.
So, hello everybody. Good job the last 2 days. Very well. We have him talking. Great. So this is a nice way to be able to use multiple cameras without having to set up a multicam and play through and switch your cameras in real time. You can kind of just scrub through and find the interesting parts. So there's Sam talking again, sync bin. Let's switch to Sam talking. Put that in as a place on top. And now we can cut to Sam as he's talking. Isn't that great? And so if you're doing a lot of multicam stuff, especially if it's something like a live event where you're mostly on a wide shot and then you just want to cut to the interesting parts, this is a really nice way to handle that. There are a lot more features in the cut page, things that we just don't have time to get into. This is kind of the main stuff. But if you're looking to move a lot faster and you're kind of working on a deadline, the cut page might be something to really look into and learn a little bit more about, especially if you're doing these certain kinds of multicam edits. This can be really helpful. But a lot of the basics here are pretty much like the edit page. We're still putting clips together into a timeline. We're cutting them, we're trimming them, we're moving things around, we're adjusting the order, and we're building our story here on the timeline. This timeline, whatever we make for our video, this is going to be the bones of our video. It's the main place where all of the clips live, and then everything else that we do in Fusion, Color, and Fairlight are going to be based on this timeline right here. So after you organize your media, you can switch to the edit page or the cut page, depending on what you feel like doing. And you place your clips here on the timeline to create a story. Once you're happy with the story, then you can move on and get fancier with the Fusion, Color, and Fairlight pages, which we're going to dive into next. So let's take a step back and talk about some kind of general.
Okay. So recap the media page, organize files and footage. Right, then move on to the cut or edit page. And create a timeline of the video. I'm gonna go, I mean, that sounds redundant, right? Because we know the timeline is of the video. Let's just create a timeline using the cut and edit page. And then step 3, those are step 1 and 2. I mean, basically auto editing, 100, an hour and 43 minutes. Honestly, like, it's a 5-hour course. Like, we're doing, that's most of editing. Like, whoa, the things he's teaching us so far. So how much else can he teach us? This is crazy. But whatever. And then 3, move on to the fusion. You move on to the other edit, other pages. Right. Okay. So quick recap. Well, now take a step back. I'm actually gonna take a small break. Gonna get some tea. It's 11:20. Not tired because I slept too much, but I'm gonna get some tea. See if I can get my sleep back. I think we're just gonna continue. If I'm not tired, I got nothing better to do. So continue. I don't feel overwhelmed. It's like the cut page, which is useful. I mean, it's obviously similar to the edit page, so it's useful, and just go from there. And I gotta write all of that stuff. So I'll be right back.
Bueno, es lo que te sencillo. Pero no es que las cosas grandes no lucen feas, porque son parte de la cocina. Las cosas, yo no lo uso, no lucen feas, es todo lo otro que hay en cocina, que no es parte de la cocina, que luce feo. Los contactos, los mil platos, los mil vasos, los mil platos. ¿Cuánta gente no tiene un plato que desea? Hace falta de gente, uno compra los plásticos, plásticos. Y la gente está adaptada a comer cosas plásticas cuando viene a visitar a otra gente, porque no hay espacio. Uno tiene una cocina de 3 pies, hay una cocina que tiene de baño. Fíjate el tamaño del baño, yo creo que el baño es más grande. Lo único que tiene es espacio para él. Compro plástico. Quiere que todo 5 pesos el día ese que viene y compro 4 vasos de cristal ese día. Y mejor que tener espacio, mejor los 5 pesos gastados ese día con los vasos de cristal no es fácil de nada. Y quiere hacer un poquito más ofrecerle más plata, más comprar con 10 pesos, comprar 4 platos y 4 vasos. No, no me digas que no, te estoy diciendo que sí, es así. No, compro, con los mismos dinero de 10 pesos, compro 20. Ya tomamos agua, pero no tengo ese dedo. Pero bueno, de nuevo, no me importa. Bueno, pero vives aquí en esta casa. No es mi problema. Y vives aquí y solamente te digo que tú, bueno, ok, tú quieres las cosas normales. Si quieres las cosas normales. Te digo que si quieres las cosas normales, no utilices nada y no ensucies nada. Y ya, pero es sencillo. Y ya. Porque si lo voy a estar ensuciando, no. El reguero es lo sucio. Pero estás peleando. Estás peleando y lo que no quieres entender es que las cosas en la cocina no se pueden botar. Segundo. Segundo. Primero. Y no. Porque eso me costó dinero y a mí no me hace falta. Bueno. A mí sí me hace falta. Te digo que a mí me hace falta. A ti quiere, pero no te hace falta. Que algo haga falta en mi frente. Hay cosas que. Porque mira, a mí no me hace falta el microondas. A mí no me hace falta. A mí no me hace falta. No, que todo se caliente. Bueno. Y después de que estén ahí con toda la comida. A mí no me hace falta. Yo en vez de cogerlo lo quiero. Y a mí no me hace hay que, no, pero tú sabes que eso está, parece reguero, pero está arriba puesto en la cocina y dice quién fue. El reguero tiene de eso, tú quitas los regueros de la mesa y a ver si eso luce feo. Y más, yo te dije que yo no necesitaba poner las cosas ahí. Yo te dije que no necesitaba poner las cosas ahí. Las cosas ahí se pueden poner todas allá arriba, porque se tienen que botar las cosas que tienes ahí para poner las cosas estas. No, no es reguero. Que diga, no es sucio, porque sucio se limpia. No hay problema. Sucio se limpia. No, el reguero lo tienes constantemente metido en medio, porque el reguero es un problema del sistema. El sistema no funciona. Te lo he dicho mil veces. No me vengan a mí más peleando más nunca con reguero. De hecho, tú arreglas tu sistema. Nuevo, no la misma cosa. Yo lo que te estoy diciendo es que tienes tantas ciudades que tienen muchas cosas. Más cosas que tienen, más reguero que tienen. Te lo estoy diciendo. Y entonces, lo más que tienes en medio, lo más difícil es limpiar. Entonces, lo más difícil es mantenerlo limpio. Mira, eso es literalmente polvo. Polvo y churre por todos lados. Esa cosa está llena de polvo y churre y no se puede limpiar. Realmente, ¿cómo tú vas a limpiar esa parte ahí? O esta parte aquí, o eso de abajo. Igual que la casa. En vez de la casa, tienes que barrer con la de eso. Yo no compro una casa. Yo lo tenía ahí todo. Yo no voy a botar nada útil. Y al revés, yo hace mucho tiempo que no boto nada. No toco nada. No toco nada. El rojo, ¿sabes qué? Eso se quema. El rojo que estaba un bar, sí, estaba ahí. Y usted lo botó. Ah, el bar chiquito. Pero se recogía toda basura, ¿no? El paquetito ese que estaba en la esquina. Honestamente, yo me acuerdo de eso. Pero lo botaste. Sin permiso. No sirve. No sirve. Sí sirve lo que tú no votas. No sirve. Yo creo que Paco. Ah, que la cosita de adelante no se había metido. No, no, que Paco. Yo veo, lo único que hago es votar. Todo lo que no tiene y lo veo en el medio, no me hace falta. Al revés, me estresa estar aquí hablando de reír lo que tiene, porque yo todos los días tengo que verlo y ponerme triste y decir, bueno, poco más, porque ya tengo mis propias cosas, ya no debo lidiar con el regalo. Yo tengo mis propias cosas, ya no debo lidiar con el regalo. Yo quiero más hablar contigo. Yo no te estaba diciendo para que lo hagas o no lo hagas. No te estaba diciendo porque está mal hecho. Todo esto está bueno. Esa cocina no es fácil de mantener limpia, entonces nunca sale. Tiene que ser fácil de mantener. Toda la cocina de verdad, cocina que yo se vuelve a pegar. Pero nadie ha cocinado nada y mira la sucia. Mira la sucia. Hoy no sabes nada hoy. A ver, lo único que se usó hoy fue la freidora de aire. Estoy hablando de la freidora de aire y lo único que se usó fue la freidora de aire.
Welcome back. Back you all. Um, Still, my other phone is the only one watching, but in the future, I hope some of you will actually be watching, and I can share the experience. But so far, I'm having fun practicing how to talk to absolutely nobody on the screen, and just learning. I was gonna do this course anyways, so oh, stream it. Streaming it is fine. There we go. There's a black space there. So we are in the get the media link in the description. Yeah, got. So I'm gonna basically draw the same thing he's showing us there. Okay, so we got the media, cut, edit, right? Recording. So we got recording here off to the side. Then media management. Editing. And we got effects. And graphics. So that is in the Fusion page. Then we would have color, which is literally a color page. And then audio, which is in Fairlight. I don't know what they call it, Fairlight. Maybe they'll tell us why. And then we got rendering. And then we deliver the finished product. That's the editing process right there. Recording, media management.
Workflow here. When you're making a video of some kind, you will record stuff or get footage from a client or online or whatever. And the very first thing that you have to do is manage your media. So it's get it organized, make sure it's renamed if you're going to rename it, put it in folders, tag it, get familiar with it, that kind of thing. From there, it's building a story, which is the strict definition of editing. A lot of people, when they say editing, they pretty much mean this entire workflow, but strictly speaking, editing is adjusting clips in a timeline. So it's actually creating what your movie is going to be. Once you have that, then you can move on to get a little bit fancier and a little bit more detailed. For most videos, that would include things like visual effects, whether it's doing simple things like replacing a screen on a TV digitally, or cloning out a car that's driving through the background of your medieval epic movie, or adding lightsabers and explosions and portals and things like that. That's all visual effects. It would be adding graphics, things like titles and credits and little pop-up icons and things like that. And then generally you'll work on color correction, color grading, making sure that your colors look good, working on your audio, making sure your audio sounds good. Things are loud enough, but not too loud. Things sound like they belong there. Things that should make noise actually make noise. And then finally, we get into rendering, which is saving out your video in a format that other people can watch. It's making a video file and uploading it to YouTube or giving it to your client, putting it on a website, that kind of thing. So this is the whole workflow from start to finish on making a video. And it kind of flows in this general order. And this is really why the buttons at the bottom of the Resolve interface, the pages, are in this order. Because we start with media, then we do our editing, then we do our effects and our graphics in Fusion, we do our color grading in Color, we do our audio mixing in Fairlight, and then we render it out. So for the rest of this video, we're going to get fancy. We're going to do the fancy stuff, starting out with Fusion here in a minute. So I can do my graphics, effects, color, and audio right here in Resolve. And all of these different apps, which are actually just pages in Resolve, all share the same timeline. And it's instantly available to do our really detailed, fancy stuff in those pages. You build your story here on the edit page, and the other pages let you make it even better. So let's dive into Fusion. Go ahead and do this with me. Go over to your media pool in the edit page and open the Fusion bin. So you should have VFX alien plate, house exterior ship plate, etc. Right click anywhere in there and say timelines, create new timeline. And we're just going to call this Fusion timeline. And we'll hit create. You don't have to make a new timeline to work in Fusion. We're just doing this because this is going to kind of be the Fusion demo thing. But take all of these clips. I'll just shift select those and just drag those into the timeline like this. So we have 4 main clips here. We have a little puppet. We have a house. We have the top of the spaceship.
Okay. Do that. So Fusion, create new timeline. Fusion. Yes. Oh, it just did that. Oh, all right. Didn't have
And we
to.
have a wide shot with kids riding their bikes across this mountain vista. These are the shots that we're going to use to kind of learn a little bit more about Fusion. So make sure that you have these shots added to a new timeline. And we're going to do one special thing. We're going to take this VFX alien plate. We're going to put this up on the second video track and put this right over our VFX ship plate like that. And then we'll just drag this down. So we should have our VFX house exterior, our alien plate and our ship plate stacked, and our wide shot like this. Let's just open up our wide shot in Fusion. The way that we do that is we're just over it here on the edit page, and then we go down and just click on the Fusion page. That's going to open up this clip here in Fusion, and now we're ready to work with this clip right on our timeline. Now, if you've never used Fusion before, you're probably already a little bit, oh gosh, what is this? This looks completely...
They took off the names. I mean, that's pretty cool. Well, you just use the icons, but yeah.
Completely different than the edit page. What the heck are these things? There's no way I'm ever going to understand this. And believe me, I get it. Fusion can be really intimidating because it's a very different interface than a lot of other apps. The edit page at least sort of looks like something you're familiar with. You know, there's kind of like layers, there's a timeline, you know, you've scrubbed through videos on YouTube. It's sort of familiar, so you can kind of pick it up. But the Fusion page, you're like, what? Why are there little boxes? Don't worry, I'm going to explain everything and move really slow. And pretty soon you're going to say, okay, that's pretty cool. So let's start with the easy stuff. Up here, we have our familiar buttons that open and close panels. And we have the inspector. Look at that. Remember, the inspector is going to show properties of whatever we have selected. More on that in a little bit. Over here, we can open up our media pool, which is exactly how it's been in the other pages. And also our effects.
Media pool, effects. the inspector. And I had it open. Oh, excuse me. Uh, why is this not sent? Oh, there's two screens. Nothing happens if I double click. And I like how this is big here. And I actually get a different view. Metadata view. I like the metadata view most. Yeah. So I mean, I'm optimizing all of this for this screen, but I gotta remember that on my laptop, all I have to change is the QWS, right? Split. Oh, dude. Split. Split. Uh, delete backwards and delete forwards. Okay.
Which is very similar as well. We have a list of effects that we can drag down and apply to things. We have a viewer right here, and we have a viewer over here. And these, for now, let's just say these work pretty much like the viewers in the edit page, where on the left, you can open up a clip and kind of preview it. And on the right, this is what the person who watches your video is going to see. By default, it works in a similar way on the Fusion page. There's a viewer over here where we're going to use to pick up little pieces and look at them. And on the right, this is what the person who watches our movie is actually going to see. Down below here, we have sort of a little bit of a different style of a timeline, but it still works. It has a playhead, which is this little red line, and you can drag it back and forth. We have our playback controls, so we can play this, stop it, go backwards. J, K, and L still work, and you can play this back and forth. Really, the only big difference here is that we're looking at one clip. We're not looking at our entire timeline. We're just looking at one clip from our timeline. And so by default, we'll have this loop. And so this will play all the way through and then loop back to the beginning and play again. Here we have our current frame that we're on. And as we scrub, this kind of changes. We also have our beginning and end frames for our composition. And below that, we have a panel, which we call our toolbar. Now, this is a little bit different than our toolbar in the edit page, where when you click a tool, it kind of changes how your mouse reacts to things. This toolbar actually creates tools down here in the nodes. Now, if you don't know what that means yet, that's okay. Basically, here's how it works. You grab an icon and you drag it down here and it will make a little box. Okay? Don't worry about that. Below our toolbar, we have our nodes. This is where the action happens in Fusion. Fusion is all about the nodes. What the heck are nodes? Basically, it's a flowchart of little boxes that you run images through to create whatever you want to make. Now, I know that sounds really generic and doesn't really explain it. So I want to back up for just a minute. Fusion is a compositing tool. Now, what the heck is compositing? Compositing, real strictly speaking, is basically putting images over other images. It's combining elements. So you can think of this kind of like what you would typically use Photoshop for, right? If we're going to make an image with some mountains and a cow and a saucer abducting the cow, we would have different elements here. We would have possibly a shot that looks like this, and then we would add this saucer digitally. Or maybe we just have a shot of some mountains and we put in the cow digitally and we put in the saucer, and then we maybe add a little bit of fancy clouds to the sky. It's putting all of these pieces together to make a really cool visual thing. And something like this, where you're combining photos and you want to make it look real, that's something that we would call like visual effects. Whereas if you're making a title, with 3D text that comes in and flashes, that would be more like a graphic. But visual effects and graphics are Fusion's bread and butter. That's what Fusion does. So if you're wanting to change an image so that it looks different and has different elements in it than it did when you shot it, you're probably going to be compositing in some way. Just like you would take a photo and clone out your weird uncle because you don't want him in the family picture, you can do that kind of thing with video. And Fusion is the place to do it in Resolve. If you've heard of After Effects, Fusion is kind of like Blackmagic's answer to After Effects inside of Resolve. It can do pretty much all the same stuff. So the reason we might take a shot like this into Fusion is if we want to change something about it. Let's just get rid of these nodes for a minute because they're scary. Maybe we want to erase one of these people riding their bike. Maybe we want to add crazy clouds to the sky. Maybe we want to add a flying saucer. Maybe we want to duplicate some trees and fill in these trees a little more. Anything that has to do with kind of changing the actual pixels of the image, that's stuff we would use Fusion for. In our other shots, if we want to make this image look like it was shot at night, we could do a lot of that probably in the color page, but we can do some fancy things in the Fusion page as well, like brighten up these windows or replace them with different windows that have lights in them. We could add a big statue here. Really, the thing that I love about Fusion is that there are no limits to what you can do. In a little bit, one thing that we're going to do in Fusion is take this image and kind of cut a hole in it and then put our little alien guy into the hole of the image so it looks like he's hanging out in this seat smiling and happy. That's the kind of stuff that you can do in Fusion. So let's go back to our wide shot here. And to make all these kind of things happen, we are going to use nodes. So what is a node? A node is a little box in the Fusion interface that does one job. And what we do is we link all of these.
Okay, so quick recap since we're moving on. So in Fusion, we basically can edit any pixels in an image. So if we wanted to add more trees, if we wanted to add stuff to the clouds, if we wanted to remove a subject from the picture, we would do it here in Fusion, and it has the same tools. This is the toolbox. You'll probably get familiar with it. Also, probably adding text like captions and stuff. Probably do that here, which I was thinking is important because I want to be able to do that. And we do that through using nodes. So we also talk about compositing. That's basically what Fusion does, putting images over other images and changing images like that. So that's a quick recap on what we just saw, at least as far as I understand. Obviously a lot. I'll have to go back to my notes. It's like we're moving forward. I feel like maybe I'm missing something, but at the same time, Professor Ferris here is doing a good job and teaching us thoroughly, right? What is a node? Moving back to this. So a node has three sides, it seems. Has an input and two inputs, one to the side and one to the top, or maybe even more. And it has the output. Okay.
These boxes together to do a bunch of fancy stuff to our image. So this is basically what a node looks like. The node has one job and it's generally called whatever its job is. So this node's job is to blur things. And there are a couple of different inputs on each node. This is where you would attach other nodes. And the colors of the inputs matter a lot. Generally, most nodes, you would attach a node to a yellow input, but there are also green and blue and other inputs that we'll talk about in a little bit. Once the node does its job, for instance, if you hook up an image to this yellow input, it's going to take that image and blur it. And then you can connect this node to other nodes by taking this little white square and connecting that to the next node. After the image runs through this node, it's going to change the image. And so this image that I connect to the next node is going to be a blurry image because it's already gone through this node. If this is already confusing, that's okay. All you really have to know is that a node is a box with one job. A lot of the students that we work with that are learning Fusion find it's a lot easier to think about nodes like a flowchart. And when you're just starting out, it helps to think of a flowchart for something fun, Like, for instance, a recipe. A recipe is nice because there are a series of steps. So if you were going to write out a recipe for lemonade, let's say, number 1 might be get lemons. Step 2 might be squeeze them.
So it sounds like Fusion is a little like coding, like a simplified coding version, like uh system processing. I mean, I'm not a coder, not a system engineer, but I play games with coding, and I understand, or I think I understand something of how coding should work. So if you're a coder, like this is something you could do.
Squeeze the juice. 3 would be add the juice to water. 4 would be add sugar. 5 might be mix. And so we can kind of split what we want to do into steps. And we can do this like a flow chart, like get lemons, squeeze juice, add juice to water, add sugar, mix. And these are going to happen in a certain order. And they're going to flow from one to the other. This is pretty much how nodes work in Fusion. So if we were going to make a node chart for getting lemonade, it might look something like this. The difference is that Fusion, you have to tell Fusion everything. It's kind of like you need to give it really specific instructions on exactly what you want it to do because it can't read your mind. So for instance, we have a node here called get lemons. Okay, so I have some lemons. Squeeze the juice. Okay, so I'm squeezing it. Then I add the juice to the water. What water? Where's the water? This is the first time I've ever heard about water. And so what we really need to do is make another node that says get water. So we get lemons and we get water. We squeeze the juice for the lemons and we add the juice to the water. So we need to actually combine these two things. So both of those things happen. We get juice and we get water. Then we need sugar. What sugar? Well, we need to get some sugar. We need to add those, right? So we're mixing two things together. So this is more of a node graph that you would see in Fusion. You get some lemons and you change those lemons by squeezing them. You get some water and you combine it with that squeezed juice. You get this watery juice, you get some sugar, and you add those together. Then you stir it, you mix it up. And at the end, you have lemonade. One of the first things I ask, you mix it up.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna write this down just because it seems right. So we got the list. 1 is get lemon. 2 squeeze juice. 3 add juice. 4 add sugar. 5 mix.
At the end, you have Lemonade. One of the first things I ask our students to do when they're learning Fusion is to make a flow chart for a recipe that they like. So here is a flow chart from one of our students named Ryan that I think is especially great for how to make ramen noodles. And we'll take a look at this, and then we're going to come back to it in a little bit because I want to show you something really cool about this. But it's the idea of doing one step at a time. We get a pot, we get 20 ounces of water, we add the water to the pot, we boil the water, we get noodles, we add the noodles to the boiling water for 5 minutes, we drain the water from the pot, we get sauce, we add the sauce to the noodles, we stir fry for 30 seconds, we get flakes, we add the flakes to the noodles, we stir it all up, and we serve it, right? So it's thinking about things in steps. That's what's really, really important here. If you can get your mind to start thinking in these little steps, nodes are going to be easy. Let's jump into Fusion and take a look at this. By default, we have a couple of nodes here, and this should already make a little bit more sense. That's what's so great about this, is that once it kind of clicks in your mind, you go, oh, okay. I love seeing that moment with our students. It's awesome. By default, when you open up a clip inside of Fusion from the edit page, you'll have two nodes. You have a very simple flowchart here. And you can think of these nodes as kind of the beginning and the end. Media in has one job, just like all nodes have one job. And that is to take this footage, this clip from the edit page and bring it into Fusion. All right. So that's all it's doing is just importing the footage. So it's kind of bringing that footage in. And then we have a line that connects media in to media out. So it's flowing from left to right. So the next step is media out. Media out, what that does is that takes an image, whatever image you plug into this yellow input, and then it puts it out to the edit page. So really what we're doing here is we're taking an image from the edit page, we're doing nothing with it, and then we're putting it back in the edit page, which is why when we go to the edit page, nothing's changed. Okay? But if we were to add another step here, fancy things right here, then that's going to change this image, and we're going to be putting a different image into the edit page. So if I were to grab maybe this icon right here that looks like a teardrop and drag this down, that's going to make a new node. That's going to make a blur node. All right? I'll get rid of that for a second because I can grab this and drag this down onto this line. And when this line turns blue, I can let go. And what that's going to do is run this image through this blur node. And that's going to change this image. Now, it just changes it a little bit because we're only blurring it a little bit. The reason I know is because when I select this blur node and I go to the inspector, I can see the properties of that blur node. And this blur size is only at 1 pixel.
New. Cool, 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 cool.
So if I push this blur size up, look, we get a blurry image, okay? So what we're doing is we're bringing a image into Fusion, then we're blurring it 31.5 pixels, and then we're putting it into the media out, which puts this back into the edit page. Now, if we switch over to the edit page, look what happens. We have a blurry image. So what's really
Oh, blur by 31.5. Point 5. And then in, out. Nice. We made our first fusion. Yeah, it's blurry.
really cool about this is that we've brought a clip into Fusion, we've changed it in Fusion, and now it's already in our timeline. We don't have to render it out, we don't have to convert it or anything like that. It's just already living there. Now, Fusion can do a lot more fancy things than just blur things, but just go with this for now. We're building a really simple flowchart. Grab an image, blur it, put the image back into the edit page. And this is essentially how you build all the effects inside of Fusion. So take a second and just kind of start to think about, okay, if I want to change an image, I'm going to start running it through certain nodes. I'm going to get rid of this blur node. What kind of node would we use if we wanted to make this whole image pink? We would probably use some kind of color correction or tint node or something like that. And there actually is a node called color corrector, which is right here. And we can grab this and just drag this down. Make sure that line turns blue. Grab this color corrector and wiggle it and make sure that those connections are actually connected. And then we can select this color corrector and push this little dot towards pink. And look at what happens. We have a pink image. We can switch over to the edit page. We have a pink image. And if you can do that, if you can do just that, you can use Fusion. Even though Fusion can do all this really, really crazy, complicated stuff, it can be as simple as that. Now let's take a look at how.
Okay, let's do that. I can use Fusion. We want to delete this. Color correction. We want, well, I don't have to use the same color as he does. So I want red. Okay, maybe if I place, can I zoom in? There's no zoom in. What's up with that? No zoom in anywhere there. I wonder how my laptop will handle all of this. Nice. And then verify. Our image is red. We have done it. I went too far. So how nodes work together? How nodes work together. So foggy. Well, I just went silent, completely silent. I kind of forgot I was even streaming. But yeah, I was just taking my notes on the foggy shot, just so I have an idea. And surprisingly, my pen actually ran out of ink. Like that happens only a few times in life when you have a pen, one specific pen that runs out of ink. Like unless you're that kind of person, I mean, there are people who just use the same pen, and the same pencil, and never lose it. You know, those are the people that can buy the fancy pens. You know, because they'll never lose it. Yeah, uh, that's not barely happens to me. I'm not one of those people. But I still like these ink gel pens I feel like they're the best for writing. I like how they look on the paper stuff. So let me get another pen. Be right back. Guys, I just noticed it's 12:38. I've been at this for a while now, and as much as I want to continue, I don't think I should. I think we should just leave it here with the foggy note example, and I guess I'll see you all tomorrow. When I do get back to doing this. I have another long day ahead of me, and yeah, that's life. If you're following along, or if you for some reason sat through this in the future, I'm grateful to you. Thank you for being here, watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.